Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my first official movie review of 2025 in the sense that I am reviewing my first of the films I am going to see in 2025. And today I'm going to be talking about Presence, directed by Steven Soderbergh, starring Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Liang, Eddie Medei, and West Mulholland. And this follows a family as they move into a new home. And there is a certain presence that watches them as they go about their day. And of course, that is the concept of this film, where the title comes from. And this is kind of like if you mixed Nickel Boys and The Sixth Sense. That's probably the best way I can describe it, because this is all done entirely in POV from the ghost that's inhabiting this house, where they live. And essentially, the movie is done with a lot of fluid long takes from Soderbergh himself. And you kind of get to examine this family, kind of get a glimpse into their dynamic and what's going on in their lives, even though not everything is spelled out for you. And that's okay, because you really do get a sense of where this family is emotionally. And I compare it to The Sixth Sense, where it isn't really as much of a horror film as it is more about, this supernatural familial drama, because that's really what it is at the center. And I think the film really excels in that manner. Now, when it first started out, I really didn't think it was that good, and a lot of that had to do with some of the writing here. Now, David Koepp, writer of Jurassic Park, has done a lot of interesting things throughout his career. Some of the dialogue here is really head-scratching, especially, like I said, at the beginning of this movie. I really did not think that this was going to end up being something that I was really a fan of, but I think as the story goes along and you really get these very intimate moments between some of the family members in this movie, and some of the conversations that are had feel so genuine and heartfelt that I really think that the writing definitely excelled by the end of this film, and really found a groove that it settled into by the end. And I think it's really bolstered as well by a terrific ensemble cast. One of the best ensemble casts of the year so far, not that we've seen too many, but I really do think that these performers are really delivering top-notch stuff here, especially Chris Sullivan as the dad, aptly named Chris. I thought he really was one of the best parts of the entire movie. The emotional core to his character, I think, is what really grounds this movie in a way that I feel would have been lacking without him being there. And then, of course, Kalina Liang, I think, is another absolute standout, and someone I think we'll absolutely be seeing a lot more of after this movie, because she is just absolutely terrific and has a lot of difficult scenes emotionally that she has to deliver, and I think she does it with flying colors. Eddie Medei as the brother in the family, I thought he was really great as well, and he kind of nails that, asshole douchebaggery sort of vibe extremely well, and I think his character goes to some very interesting places. And then, of course, West Mulholland, though, he was a big standout for me as well. And I think once you learn more about his character, I think that's when the movie really reaches some stratospheric heights. I think this movie really builds tension so well, and I think Soderbergh's direction has a lot to do with that, as well as how Koepp structured this screenplay. I also think Zach Ryan's score to this film is quite haunting and evocative, and I don't know if I'm going to be saying it's one of the best scores of the year, but I certainly think it's one of the best scores of the year I've heard so far, because I've only seen, 4 movies. But regardless, I definitely think it really elevates the tension in the movie in conjunction with Soderbergh's direction and cinematography that really makes this movie stand out just a notch above what it could have been. And then, of course, to get back to the performances, I can't go without mentioning Lucy Liu in here, who really gets a few moments to shine above all else. And I think her character is really interesting and integral to understanding the key dynamic of this family and why everything seems perhaps a little despondent amongst them, is all I'll say. But this is one I really think you should absolutely see for yourself, because it is very immersive in the way that it is put together. But I will say the reason I am not giving this film a higher rating than what I will give it is because every single scene, every single time a scene ends, they cut to black. And that is some of the most annoying shit that I can ever see in any movie. I hate when movies do that, especially when they do it like 50 times like this movie does. Like, it gets really annoying. All he had to do was just jump cut to the next scene and we would have gotten the point. And so I feel like a lot of these scenes definitely don't feel like they get the chance to breathe like I think they should. Like I feel like the script necessitates of them. And I think that really holds it back from being what could have been one of the absolute great horror films of 2025. But as it stands, you know, you gotta give it to Soderbergh, because every time he goes up to bat, he's always doing something interesting. I mean, he's shot 2 movies on iPhones, like Unsane and High Flying Bird, and he continuously tries to do something interesting with the cinematic medium. I'm so glad he's not retired, because if he keeps making interesting movies like this, I'm absolutely going to see whatever he has in store. And the fact he has another movie coming out this year, I mean, this guy just cooks when he's on it. And even though I don't think a lot of his movies as of late have been 100% perfect or flawless in that regard, I do think that we're in a very interesting period of Soderbergh's career. And I do love seeing what he has to bring and offer to the cinematic medium nonetheless. And so with that all being said, I'm going to give Presence a very strong 7 out of 10. I definitely think as far as January horror goes, I mean, you can't really get much better than this, right? I haven't seen Wolfman, but I've heard kind of mixed things, and I know some people really enjoy it. But for me, I think this is probably the horror film to check out in January, which I've heard overall is a pretty good month for movies this year, which is surprising considering it's usually the absolute barren wasteland of, you know, dog doo-doo that they just dump at the beginning of the year so we can get on with the rest of it. But this year we've been pretty spoiled, and I think Presence is definitely a nice little treat to throw into the month of January. So check it out if you get the chance. I absolutely do think that this is one you have to see just for the cinematography, the direction alone. I mean, the long takes in here are absolutely astounding, and I think maybe will end up being some of the best cinematography you'll see all year. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this film, if you didn't enjoy this film, let me know why that is the case. And please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel to get more movie reviews like this. There's obviously going to be a lot more exciting films coming out within the next month or so. And of course, all my coverage of awards season, and of course, all the films from 2024 that I still have yet to watch. But yeah, stay on the lookout for that and so much more, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Ciao.